Hey, welcome back, knife nerds and everyday care people. It's your boy, the Big Canucker, and we have got ourselves, as you can see on the table, we have got ourselves a big monster. Now, this big monster is by a company named Berg Blades. The owner is Matt Westberg, and this happens to be what's called the Iron Wolf. And it is a series of, this is kind of a, I would say that this company here is kind of like a boutique knife company or a boutique knife company. For all my other Canadian friends, it's yeah, I say a boutique knife company. It seems like what he was a knife designer. He's a firefighter who wanted to design and build some knives. He did, and now he's doing some kind of semi-customs, having sent his design off to We Knives out in China, has them build the knives, ship them back, and then he sells them out of his website and just around all over. And if you know anything, you know that We Knives builds a fantastic product. I mean, there is no doubt about their build quality, their fit and finish, things like that, their machining abilities. You know what? It is some of the best knives that are out there in the market are made by We Knives. So, and it just seems to be a really superlative design too. I mean, it's just a big monster knife. It's a little smidge under 9 inches with a smidge under 4 inch blade. The cutting length is 3.75 inches. You know that it's a really, really good working blade. And we'll do a little bit of a size comparisons on a few things here. Now, this happens to be my old favorite knife as far as my work knife. This is the good old Giant Mouse Ace Grand with a good solid backspacer. I love this knife, but this seems like it's going to be the new king. Other sizes here, another huge knives here. We've got a Chris Reeves Umnumzon. As you can see that it even dwarfs the Umnumzon. And then, of course, everybody's favorite, and mine, the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. This one happens to be the Crucarda version that I happen to dye purple and kind of turn it into my little Joker knife. I love this knife too, by the way. And you can see that it's, handle size, they're very similar, but the Berg blades here has got quite a big 4-inch blade on it. So it's going to really do a lot of that stuff that you're going to, that you want in a real heavy use, hard use work knife. And I would say this is definitely a hard use knife, just built on some of the specifications. 8 point, almost 9 inches, 4-inch blade. Excuse me. Oh my goodness, I apologize. A 4-inch blade, 3.75-inch cutting capabilities. Your thickness of your blade here is quite thick at 0.155 or 3.97 millimeters. You almost round it up to say 4 millimeters. So it's got some thickness to it. It's really quite stout. It comes in at 6.7 ounces, so it's got a little bit of a porkitude to it, but it's not so much that it weighs down your pocket and gives you saggy jeans or anything like that. I put it in my pocket and I don't even notice that it's there. I mean, it's, mind you, it is the smallest thing in my pocket at the time. Wink, wink, nod, nod. I'm just teasing. And I don't notice it at all. I mean, it is a flipper, and of course you've got the old Nick Shabazz pocket pecker, and it is a little bit out there, but I mean, the action on it is so beautiful. I am absolutely blown away by, a lot of times when you see like a thick, heavy, solid knife, you're a little bit worried about the action. This one has got no worries whatsoever. It is totally hydraulic drop shot like that. Beautiful, beautiful action on it. The blade steel happens to be 20 CPM 20 CV, so it is top of the line steel. Now, I know that these are kind of limited runs. I know they ran the Iron Pup originally. The original Iron Pups came in S35 VN. They had a fuller in them, kind of a blood groove fuller. The first 50 of the S35 VNs did not have the fullers, and those were the ones that were built by Matt Westberg himself personally. He did some work on them. So if you've got the original run Iron Wolf and it doesn't have that blood groove in it, keep it, because that'll be a really, really interesting knife that there's only 50 of those ones ever built. So, fantastic. So these, like I said, these are limited runs. Now, I looked on his website, and I'm not sure how many of these he makes at one time. I don't see anywhere where he's got them numbered. I haven't taken it apart yet because he does say that if you take his knives apart, your warranty is voided, which I think that is such old school mentality, especially somebody who's going to be buying a Berg's blades knives. They've got all sorts of, I don't think a guy who buys an Iron Wolf off his website, has only one knife, and doesn't know what he's doing when he takes a knife apart to clean it out. So I hope, you know, hope against hope that Mr. Westberg sees this and decides to change that warranty. Now, I understand that some of these, these boutique blade guys, a little bit smaller, they can't afford to replace 50 knives out of their pockets, because, it just doesn't make crazy business sense. But people who are buying these knives are guys who I think, are collectors, and they know how to pull a knife apart. And there's nothing in here that is so design wise that is so out of the ordinary that we're not going to know what to do with it. I mean, it's some couple of really nice thick slabs of titanium with some micarta. It has multi-row bearings in here with a pivot. It's a liner lock. I'm not going to say if it's a liner lock. It's almost like a liner frame lock, because you've got that kind of inner titanium liner in here, and it just seems like we know how to take this knife apart. Now, going over some of the other things, it is, half an inch wide, so it is really quite, it's that kind of perfect hand feeling. The ergonomics on this knife are really, really quite good. And he's done a really lot of design things that I really, really like. Like right here, you've got a little landing spot for your finger when you're flipping your knife open. So, it just lands in that little spot, which is really, really nice. I like that, because sometimes you can get some jimping down there, like the XM18 has got some jimping on there. When you flip it, your finger hits that jimping all the time. And if you open your knife once, not the end of the world, but if you're like me and you like to fidget factor or flip your knives, it'll eventually kind of wear a hole in your fingerprints. So, hats off to having that little bit of a landing zone. Weave fit and finish is quite nice. When you have that transition, there's a little bit where you can feel it, but it's still quite good. The centering on this knife was excellent right off the bat, as you can see that it is perfectly centered. The grind on it here, as far as each side. Now, I don't think this knife has been sharpened. It has been stropped a whole bunch by myself for sure. When it got to me, it was okay sharp, but this 20 CPM 20 CV stropped up just absolutely beautiful. I just took some a green oxide strap and a 1 micron diamond impregnated leather strap, and I stropped them with those two, and it brought it back to absolutely sticky, hair popping sharp. So bravo for your choice of steel, sir. Now, the blade here is a kind of what do they call it here? It is a sandblasted and tumbled. So it does hide some marks to it. So if you're like me and you're doing lots of cardboard cutting, you're not going to get those kind of streaks in your finish. If you do, they're hidden very, very well. And you can see here too, there's a little bit of damage to this, a little bit of snail trails here and there, but it does blend in quite nice with this kind of tumbled sandblasted finish. Now, I am going to probably clean these up quite a bit because you can see they probably were this color when the knife was first brand new, as you can see back inside there. But oils from your hands darken this up, so it says green micarta, but it's really quite a dark green micarta, bordering along kind of gray to black. So I think what I'm going to try to do, because I like this knife, I really, really like it, but I love knives that have got some red into them. So I think I'm going to try to take these micarta handles off there, and I'm going to soak them in some degreaser, get them completely cleaned, and then I'm going to try to bleach them or lighten them up a little bit, and then I'm going to see if I hit them with a really, really super dark blood red, and I want to see what that does to it. So I am going to do a little bit of customizing to this, because this one here is absolutely, definitely going to be a keeper. Totally love this knife. Now, the one thing, if you're a regular watcher of the channel, you know that I like to have lanyards on my knives, and there is no lanyard hole on this anyplace. So I was thinking I was going to look at doing a couple of things here. The first thing I had perhaps thought is maybe getting a hole drilled from there to there. I have some friends who are machinists, and I could drill quite a small hole. I don't think I'm going to do that to the back spacer. The other thing I think I might end up doing is I might end up having one of them machine me a little tiny back spacer hook, or a place where I can tie a lanyard to, and drill a couple of holes here, tap, put a couple of screws there, and then just screw it right to there. And then at the end of the thing, I've got myself a little kind of custom thing to attach my lanyard to. I think I'm going to do that, because I don't think if I shape it right, if I just basically shape it, just a little bit rounded, it's not going to bother the ergonomics. It's not going to bother my hand or anything like that. So as long as I'm careful with that, I think I can put myself a nice lanyard in here. So then it'll be a wickedly perfect knife there, guys. Now, As you can see, another really interesting thing on here that I really, really like is you've got yourself a nice flat space here. There's no real kind of belly to it, but then you've got yourself this separate grind here. It's almost like a clip point tanto type thing. It's just a really, really neat design. Now, I'm sure, you know what, if you're not careful, you can definitely kind of round that off and eventually you'll just have a regular clip point knife. But I think what I'm going to do anytime I have to sharpen this, I think I'm going to sharpen it by sharpening just this area, and then I'll turn the knife, and then I'll sharpen this area just like that. And I'll try to keep that little bit of a grind to it for the next little bit, but I don't see myself sharpening this too much because it is wicked sharp, and I have, and just stropping has brought it right completely back. So I'm sure glad that you guys come by to have a look at this. Oh, I forgot to say another thing here that, that I didn't like is I wasn't too super jazzed about this clip here. As you can see, there seems to be a real whole lot of area there, because when this goes in your pocket, it's right here. There is a little bit of that knife sticking up. It's not the end of the world, mind you. I mean, but it just, I think, a missed opportunity to build themselves like a nice beefy deep carry clip. I think would have just added a little bit of value to this. And it's a real solid, thick clip. I mean, this titanium is really stiff, so it does go in and out of the pocket, especially jeans, if you've got a little bit of a lip on them. They're a little bit difficult to get in and out. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I just wish that they had done a clip. I think a clip a little bit more along the lines of this would have been just so much nicer. That is one thing about this Giant Mouse clip, is I just love this wire clip. It's fantastic. So that's kind of my little bit of a beef to it. But other than that, beautiful knife. The ergonomics are excellent. The fit and finish is excellent. The put together is excellent. The fidget factor is excellent. I just think it's an excellent all-around work knife. I think it's good looking. I mean, the only real knocks on it is I wish it had a lanyard hole, and I wish this clip was a little bit different. So I'm sure glad that you guys stopped by to say hello. Please, if you like what you saw, please hit that subscribe, as well as share and comment on the video, because, it helps the algorithm get me back up there, because, I took a little bit of a time off, but I'm back here. I'm ready to give you guys as much content as I possibly can. So, but out there, please stay safe out there. Keep your stick on the ice, the shiny side up. This is the Big Canucker saying adios.